My ring light stand is actually broken, so I'm hoping that this doesn't collapse while I'm trying to film it. I'm in the process of trying to get another one, but we'll see how this goes, and hopefully nothing disasterific happens. Hi everyone, my name is Rose, also known as CA Summers. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a book tag, and it's been one that's been a long way in the making because I was tagged in this video about 2 months ago, and I'm just getting to it now because of a lot of things going on. But I'm happy to say that I'm finally doing this book tag, which is the How We Rate Books tag. And this was originally created Emily at Novell Novels, and I was tagged by Frodo for this respective tag. So thank you, Frodo, for tagging me. I always love doing these kinds of tag videos, and I'm happy to be able to do this. So I'm going to start with the first question. How often do I DNF, and what makes me DNF? So I've answered this question before on the channel before, but I don't really DNF when I read books. I will set books to the side if, for whatever reason, if a book is not clicking with me, or I'm taking a progressively long time to finish it because I'm reading between multiple books at one time. That's something that I'll do. But usually I do not DNF because it's kind of a compulsive thing. I really like to be able to see where a story goes from the start to the finish and be able to reflect on the entire experience. So you will never usually hear me say that I will DNF a book, because that's just not my respective practice, and I respect people who can. I kind of envy sometimes that people can, like, in certain terms, because they're like, I know my sister is basically a DNF queen. If she is not feeling a respective book, she will put it to the side and say, I'm just not picking this up anymore. But I think it's just like a matter of preference in terms of depending on what type of reader you are in terms of things. And I think that's totally cool. Second question. Do I rate books 1 star? And the answer to this one is very simple answer, yes. So I have a rating system that goes from 0 stars to 5 stars with half stars in between. And yes, I have actually rated books 0 stars before. One of the examples I usually give people in terms of a book that I rated 0 stars is Colleen Hoover's This Girl, which I don't talk about Coho, but for this respective question, I will talk about it. With respect to This Girl, it is the 3rd book in the Slammed series, and what it does is basically rehash plot points that were in the first 2 books of that series, which were Slammed and Point of Retreat. And I just felt like that book was a waste of time in terms of copying and pasting whole entire conversations, except for the fact that it was from the opposite viewpoint of the opposite character, or just basically rehashing entire plot points from those previous books with very little new material in between. So I usually give that example whenever I tell people of a book that I gave 0 stars for. But to answer the respective question, yes, I do give books 1 star. And usually the way that I say it is that anything that I give 1 star and below, including 0.5 stars, is and I take this from my Goodreads description, not my cup of avoid, run like the wind bullseye, to quote a Toy Story phrase. But that's my answer for this respective question. Question number 3. What is a 2-star book for me? So I'm basically going through also from my Goodreads description for this rating system, which you can find if you follow me on Goodreads. You can find my rating system in my profile. But and also to consider, since I rate by half stars, I will include 1.5 as the rating, like alongside 2 stars in terms of this reflection, because I usually tend to round up. Usually for a 2-star book, these books are usually okay for me. They usually aren't for me specifically, or I had there were things about them that heavily detracted from the experience of me reading them. And usually I will go into detail and at length to be able to explain why they did not work for me in terms of things. And sometimes I'll say that I respect the idea of, or the experience the book gave me, but there were things about it that just did not work for me. And I will usually say, like, if there are specific audiences that will enjoy these books, I will usually say, hey, this is a 1.5 or 2-star read for me. I didn't enjoy the experience, but maybe somebody else might if they like these certain elements of a book. 2 examples that I can give as books that I gave either 1.5 or 2 stars off the top of my head include Book of Night by Holly Black. I actually really loved the idea of this book, and I wanted more from the experience, but the execution just was not up to the par that I was expecting from it, nor really like what I feel like it could have been for the experience. I still plan on reading probably the follow-up to that in terms of things, but it was just disappointing in terms of the potential it could have had. The other one that I can think of is The Other Black Girl, which I appreciated what the author was trying to do with this book in terms of what she was trying to talk about, but the execution of that respective story was just not great. And it felt like it was very limiting in terms of the audience that it was aimed toward. Did not really go into a lot of a lot of things about it felt dry to me in terms of the execution of them, and like superfluous in terms of certain details that really felt like it threw me out of the story when I was trying to read it. Question number 4. What is a 3-star book for me? Okay, so to kind of talk about this respective rating, and I include 2.5 stars in this respective thing as well, but this is usually a book rating. 3 stars will be middle of the road for me. Very good books actually in terms of the reads, and solid for what they offer, but might have things that detract from them that didn't usually work for me. I would still give them a solid rec to the audiences who may enjoy them. And you're really not doing bad if you get 2.5 to 3 stars from me. Like, you know, that's a pretty solid rating. And usually I can say that, like, for these books, I enjoyed the experience for what it offered, but it just didn't get to that level of, like, you know, like, this is a book that I'd readily reread, consume, recommend to people, and things like that. In terms of things, you're doing well, but there are certain things about it that just did not elevate it to the point of it being a 4-star or a 5-star read for me. And some examples of this would be, maybe, I think off the top of my head, I could say the first volume of Paper Girls. I gave that a pretty solid, like, either 2.5 or 3-star read. It was a good, solid, memorable experience for me, like, to start off that respective comic series. But there were certain parts of it in terms of the execution that I didn't enjoy as much. The artwork was solid. The characters were solid. The premise was wonderfully done in terms of what it established, and the intrigue of being able to continue it. But the execution of certain things probably, like, just did not work for me, like, depending on what it chose to expand upon and how it chose to expand upon. So that's an example of a 2.5 to 3-star read for me. Question number 5. What is a 4-star book for me? And again, since I rate in half stars, I'll also include 3.5-star rated books in this description. So this is basically a book that I hold in very high regard, and this is the vast majority of usually what I tend to give books that I really enjoy and love and things like that. So usually if you're 3.5 or 4 stars, you are doing excellent with me. I will be recommending your books. I will be, like, sharing it with people that I know and say that I enjoy the experience. There may be certain things about it that didn't work for me as well, and didn't catapult it to the level of being all-time favorite, but they're solid, wonderful reads. And I definitely find myself recommending a lot of the 3.5 to 4 and above in terms of the books that I read. And I usually tell people I'm a critical reader in terms of things, but, like, like I usually am very selective in terms of what I choose to pick up. So a lot of times, like when I do pick up a book and I really enjoy the experience and it doesn't leave my mind and I love the overarching experience with it, aside from a few caveats, this is usually what I will rate a book in terms of things. So an example of this, I think in terms of recent reads, I will say that Death Watch by Rob White, I recently reread and enjoyed. And also Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid is one that I recently read as well. And I think by the time that this video goes up, that review video will be up on the channel. So I'll link it above, in the cards above, and in the description below if you haven't already seen that video. Another book that I would say that is either 3.5 or 4-star read for me is the, and it's one that I'm planning on doing a individual video on, is the Valentine's Do-Over by Michelle Lindo Rice. And I believe I've mentioned that as a book that I really enjoyed in a previous video, but I have not given that a review on the channel just yet. Question number 6. Do I do half-star ratings? And the short answer for this is absolutely yes. I do half-star ratings because it is incorporated within my system of rating in terms of how I rate books. And usually if on a site such as Goodreads where they don't allow half stars, I will usually round up. So for example, if I give a book 3.5 stars, I will round it up to 4 on a system like that. So just FYI. Question number 7. Do I rate 5 stars often? And what does a book have to do to get rated so high? So it is very rare that I rate books either 4.5 stars or 5 stars. I am very much a critical reader. And usually if a book gets rated 4.5 to 5 stars for me, it is an all-time favorite. Is a book that does not leave my mind. I keep coming back to. I will reread it readily, and usually I will recommend it to anybody that I know. And usually, like, I don't really have like super high standards for things for books to get to 4.5 to 5 stars. What I usually take from the experience of those books are if it has a solid premise, a solid group of characters that I can easily follow, and not even just relate to, but be able to be immersed in their perspective, be able to see why they think certain ways, they feel certain ways, and being able to follow their experience throughout the book in a seamless way. I usually, for 4.5 to 5 star books, if it's applicable, I appreciate a very solid world building, plot details, being able to be immersed in the story and being able to follow it without too many stumbles or bumps in the road in terms of the experience. And it is a very solid indicator of its respective genre in terms of what it chooses to do, or how it makes you think, or how it makes you feel. So that is usually my standard for 4.5 or 5 star books. And usually I have talked about like some of my favorite books on the channel before in terms of what I've rated 4.5 stars and above. And I recognize the fact that the books that I give 4.5 to 5 stars may not be for everyone, but I usually try to say that this book provided such a solid reading experience for me, and these are the reasons why, and this is what it contributes to the conversation and that sort of thing. So I usually tell people that when I give 4.5 to 5 stars, this is a solid book, this is whom I recommend it to, and this is going to stay in my collection and in my mind and in my recommendations for quite some time. Question number 8. Has my rating system changed over years? Not really. Like, I'll be honest about it. Like, usually my rating system has stayed very consistent over the past several years that I've been reviewing, and I've been reviewing for many, many years, like not even like just even beyond booktube, beyond doing my blog. I've reviewed many different types of media before, and so my rating system has usually been consistent with how I tend to rate books. Now, when it comes to reading specific books, I do change my rating for books in terms of how if I go to reread a book, I am not shy about changing my rating for a book if I feel that it's a better experience than I remember it being when the first time or second time that I read it, or if I read a book another time and it ends up being a less desirable experience from when I first picked it up, or because every reader's perspective changes over time, and it's basically how we like it depends on our world purview, how what our experiences are, like on what things we notice in terms of the books and the media that we're consuming. So I do believe that you're welcome to change your mind about a book or a piece of media, like in terms of when you consume it, in terms of things. It's just how we grow in terms of being readers and consumers of media in terms of things. So I'm definitely not shy about changing my rating for a book, whether it's better or whether it's not as great as the first time that I read, or even the second time, or even third time that I've read a book. So there's that. Question number 9. Where do I record my ratings? So I record my ratings in a multitude of different places. Usually on social media, like on sites like Goodreads, where like you're recording and rating and reviewing books, or Amazon, or NetGalley. When I'm reading books and recording my rating, I will usually record them there. I will also basically do recording of my ratings of books in my bullet journal. This is this is my current bullet journal right now in terms of things. So I record a lot of things that I read and reflect on in this little journal here. And I have several bullet journals that I love. I love the bullet journaling system, and I usually keep track of my journaling that way in terms of things. So maybe when I'm feeling like I'm brave enough to be able to talk about my rating system in terms of how I use my bullet journal to rate books, I may feature a bit on the channel in terms of what my spreads look like, how my rating system is, and that sort of thing. But I definitely heavily use my bullet journal to be able to do tracking on what I read and my thoughts about each of the books that I read. And I think the very last question of this respective tag is to tag people. I don't know very many people that have not already done this tag, unfortunately, so I'm just going to say, if you have not done this respective tag quite yet, consider yourself tagged. It's a fun one to do. I really enjoyed being able to do it for the channel in terms of things, finally, like in terms of things. But I definitely want to thank Novell Novels for creating this respective tag, and I want to thank Frodo for tagging me in this respective book tag for this respective video. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be informed of when I post new videos. Thank you again for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next video.